Nigeria has a new national anthem. Well, that's no longer news to a lot of people by now. But what's not yet clear is how many Nigerians are feeling personally affected by this development. In the midst of mounting cost of living challenges, how many Nigerians really do care about a mere change in nomenclature to a national symbol? Well, we are now being joined by Agbese, the deputy spokesman of the House of Representatives, on why the lawmakers facilitated this reversal to the old national anthem, as well as some insight on a recent bill for maritime regulatory reform. Many thanks for joining us on Newsday. Honorable Agbese, I don't know if you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening. Yes. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
So I'd like to know, why reverting to the old national anthem is priority right now amidst the many challenges facing the country.
Thank you very much for that question. As a matter of fact, the People's Parliament, under the leadership of the Chairman of the National Assembly, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, we are working very hard, across board to ensure that we address all the problems and challenges facing the country through the instrument of lawmaking as possible. And in doing that, we also believe that as a nation, the things that bind us together, our national symbols, are equally very important, to be able to galvanize every citizen of this country to be part and parcel of the leadership process towards the new Nigeria that we talk about. So for us in the Parliament, this is just one of the numerous activities, one of the numerous programs that critical issues that we have identified, and it goes beyond the song. It is about the philosophy behind the song. It is not all about the national symbol. It is the spirit of brotherhood that we are trying to bring together to unite the nation at a time that we are polarized. We cannot tackle the numerous problems that are confronting this country if we have our differences in mind. And the historical background to the issue of the national anthem, you will recall that in 2014, the National Political Reform Conference in Nigeria did suggested as part of its recommendation for us to return back to the glorious days, between 1960 and 1978 when we had this anthem. On a lighter note, every day we talk about the era when the naira was stronger than the pound, the days that cocoa was able to build universities in the southwest, the days that our granite pyramid, the cotton and all of that were working across the country. So we are looking forward to a nation that works for the citizen. And we believe that this national anthem is one of the best strategic ways to philosophically engage each and every one of us from the top to the bottom, to be a part and parcel of the Nigerian project.
Almost unanimously, Nigerians disagree with this change of the national anthem. And you were talking about the philosophy being something that can galvanize the nation and the people together. But philosophy doesn't fill bellies. We know that most of the issues that we have within the country stem from poverty, lack of food, lack of education, lack of jobs. Are there any moves by the other lawmakers to improve on some of those issues in order to balance out or counteract this overwhelmingly negative press that has come from this national anthem that it seems also the lawmakers don't even know themselves? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot to ask you if you know the lyrics to the new national or the old national anthem, but it seems that it is creating a diversionary tactic at a time when we need to be focused.
No, that is not correct, because just recently the House of Representatives, under the leadership of His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, organized a seminar, a national dialogue on security and the issue of local government autonomy. We had that dialogue, and what we do at the moment in the National Assembly, we even go over and above the regular routine of the past. Lawmaking, has now been taken to the masses. We engage the public to ensure that their inputs and impacts are also felt in the laws that we are making, because at the end of the day, these are the people who are going to benefit from it. Aside the security seminar which we had recently, we're equally looking at the amendments to the Constitution, the issue of state creation, autonomy for states, houses of assembly and local government, autonomy for the judiciary, and so on and so forth. So these are all issues that we believe will help to move the country forward. And in terms of the economic challenges that we are facing, you will also recall that the 10th National Assembly was in the forefront of provision of palliatives, to the masses when we moved in motion last year, to discuss how to partner with the executive to see that we cushion the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy. And because of our regular oversight functions, we have seen some level of infrastructure development across the country. We are ensuring, working hard day and night under our leaders to make sure that Nigerians begin to feel the impact, of the government at the center. And part of that, we're equally, looking at what happens at the grassroots. That is why the issue of local government autonomy and local government governance at the local government level is also very critical and germane to the 10th National Assembly under the leadership of His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. So as a parliament, we are deeply concerned. In fact, when the 2024 budget was presented before the parliament, Nigerians also recall that our leader, the Speaker of the Parliament, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, did mention that the budget must address critical issues that affect the poor citizens of this country. So basically, our interest, having been elected by Nigerians from all walks of life to serve their interests, we believe that at the moment we are servants of the people, and our only duty and responsibility in the National Assembly is to ensure that we move Nigeria a step forward from where we met it when we came on board as a parliament.
Well, you talked about bringing lawmaking closer to the people. So I'm wondering, how many Nigerians actually had input into this decision to revert back to the old national anthem. To an outsider looking in, it just seems like a bunch of old men who are nostalgic about the past. They just took this decision, even though Nigeria of today is different from what Nigeria was at that time. Some critics are wondering, why you would jettison an anthem composed by a Nigerian in favor of one composed by a colonialist just based on nostalgia.
Well, I will answer this question in threefold. One, there is nothing wrong if we use an anthem composed by anybody from outside the country. Nigerians have equally composed anthems for other countries. Secondly, it is not about the old. It is not about the past. Yes, it is about coming from the past. It is about understanding the past, what worked in the past, and the future, where we are going to. The other issue is that this parliament has the highest number of young Nigerians, people who are even less than 40 in the parliament. In the Young Parliamentarian Forum, we have about 43 members who are members of the parliament. And then when you talked about the issue of lawmaking, subjecting it to public engagement. Yes, we do that a lot in this parliament. But for this particular national anthem, there's also an angle to it, because there's also a model to lawmaking, which is consensus agreement and decisions. So when a bill comes before the parliament and you have dissenting opinion, and people find it difficult to agree with it, you can subject it, to the wider public. But when the public, in the first instance, did elected people to represent them, we also have the mandate of the people to make decisions on their behalf, where we feel and are comfortable that these decisions will have positive impact. I particularly am excited about the debate this national anthem has generated, because to a large extent it has reawakened that spirit of patriotism and even citizens' participation in the affairs of government. I'm glad that young Nigerians all over the country, they are now interested in the activities of the parliament. And thank God, yesterday when the national anthem was came into force, after Mr. President had endorsed it, assented to the bill on Wednesday, it was also done, on the floor during the joint session of the National Assembly, where we have the senators and the House of Representatives. These are all elected representatives of the Nigerian people coming from various political parties. And I believe that Nigerians did not make any mistake in 2023 when they voted us to represent them in the parliament. And as a matter of fact, we owe them a duty not to disappoint them. And it is in doing that that we want to do everything on earth and as humanly possible to make sure that we continue to represent these people who have given us their mandate. And that is why some of the programs coming from the National Assembly, the 10th National Assembly, they seem to be quite different from what we used to have in the past. You now have a National Assembly that is very active. You have a National Assembly that is living true to its legislative agenda. We have this issue of transparency and accountability in governance, which was not there in the past, and we are all promoting it. So it is our belief in the parliament that Nigerians will continue to cooperate with us as we partner and collaborate with the executive to make this place a better place for all of us.
Just to reiterate, it seems that it has reawakened people's annoyance with the government. I don't think many people are very excited about this. But we'll move on. You said that the parliament is constructed of individuals who are quite young, you know, around 40 years old and under. To the outsider looking in, it seems as though maybe some of the youth or the younger lawmakers are being bulldozed over, and maybe they don't speak up in matters of societal interest. Where they should know better, they say nothing due to the power struggle. That seems to be what is playing out, because we are all still bewildered about how this law or this new this new national anthem is supposed to make us feel anything but confused. But I also wanted to pick up on one thing you said, that Nigerians also wrote national anthems for people of other nations. Could you tell us, to your understanding, where that is?
I have the record, but I think that is not even the important issue. What is important is the spirit behind, you know, the lyrics of what we have adopted as the national anthem. We are talking about the spirit of brotherhood, you know, bringing all the peoples of these nations together in line even with our religious creeds and doctrine, you know, to see ourselves as brothers and to see one another as one. And again, if you look at the line that talks about the flag and handing over to the next generation of Nigerians, you know, a flag that is not stained with blood. How many of us today are happy with the level of insecurity that we have in the country? What roles are we supposed to play as citizens and as leaders, you know, to ensure that this level of insecurity does not degenerate, but we are all able to address it? How many persons are comfortable with the news we get every day about corruption in the system, you know, stealing in the past and all of that? So these are the issues that the new national anthem, and to also mention that the old national anthem that was adopted, we didn't throw out everything. We adopted the second stanza of the old national anthem as the national prayer, something that will equally drive, you know, the feelings and aspirations of Nigerians, that when we begin to see ourselves as one and we continue to believe in God Almighty as the one who in his wisdom has put all of us together, we'll now have a sense, you know, of patriotism to see how we can better the country. The national anthem that we have adopted equally talks about the issue of justice. It talks about the issue of peace. And these are some of the things that are lacking in our country. Peace building is not something you can achieve in a day by efforts of government alone. All the citizens, we must profess, you know, this truth and in truth to make sure that we are all dutifully committed to it, ideologically committed to it, and even spiritually committed to the betterment of this country.
I mean, I guess, you know, the reasoning behind the change in this national anthem is quite noble. But I believe, you know, this spirit of brotherhood that you all want to bring back should actually start from our leaders, from our politicians. They should stop campaigning based on ethnic lines. They need to stop all the Yoruba Lokon. They need to stop Igbos cannot become, you know, anything in Lagos State. I really don't think it is by changing the national anthem, you know, that you're going to bring the spirit of brotherhood back. I think we need You know, an inward reflection starting from our leaders. Go ahead.
No, let me add to what you just said, because I believe you haven't really asked a question here, but you have made a point. And to speak into the points that you have made, the national symbols are not enough, you know, to address our problems. Again, the parliament as an institution, we are also not looking at the national anthem as the solution to all the problems. We are saying that in solving the problems, we must start from somewhere, and in going, you know, this issue of national symbols are just peps, you know, that add to the critical issues that we do as leaders. And, you know, we have gone past that stage of Emilokon that was during the campaign. This is time for governance. And, you know, that is why you see a National Assembly that is united, despite the political divides that we all emerged from, despite the tribal and ethnic differences that we had before now. Under the leadership of the Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, we have surrendered all these things, you know, to forge a common front that will help in addressing the problems of this country. And that is why, if you watch the activities of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, you will notice that we subject issues to robust debate. And at the end of the debate, we all come together, you know, to look at what is best in the interest of the masses of this country. And in doing that, we have touched a couple of issues, you know, that we believe will address the problems confronting the nation. For instance, the education budget under President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has been able to increase the education budget in order for us to train our youths. Look at the dispatch with which we address the issue of student loans. It came before the parliament within a record time. We cooperated with the executive to ensure, because we are not, we are partnering with the executive, we are collaborating with them. We believe that Mr. President has noble objectives, you know, mission for the country. And we believe that it is under the atmosphere of peace and tranquility that we'll be able to achieve this much. That is why by June 13th, when we begin to reel out, you know, our achievements, Nigerians will even see that beyond the things they know, that they think we have achieved for the country as a parliament, that we have done far more than that. That's exactly what we are doing. And I want to thank God, you know, for the focused leadership of Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, who is leading the House of Representatives. So far, so good. He has been able to galvanize all of us to believe in the legislative agenda of the 10th National Assembly. That is why you see, you get less of noise from the parliament, but actions. That's why you see that day and night, parliamentarians are working very hard to make sure that they deliver not just on their campaign promises, but on the promises that we all have made as leaders that will help in taking the nation forward.
I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree and leave this subject, quit whipping this dead horse, and move on to the Maritime Regulatory Reform Law. This is another thing that the lawmakers have been working very hard at. Could you tell us some of the perks of this law? We do know that it is supposed to stop the arbitrary charges at the country's ports, which is an upside. Do you have more?
Well, that bill, from what we witnessed on Monday, the participation of Nigerians, it shows clearly that first and foremost, we must give it to the Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, you know, for in the first place conceiving, you know, as one of the leaders of this country, to even think that there's a need for us to regulate certain activities in the maritime sector. The maritime sector has been alone in terms of regulations, and that is why Nigerians have been complaining. From what was said during the public hearing by Nigerians to us, it shows clearly that we'll be having issues around our ports, arbitrary charges like you mentioned, and issues of indiscipline and all of that. And from what we heard that day too, it has been seen that even importers are beginning to prefer, you know, neighboring countries to Nigeria. So these are some of the things we intend to address. I pointed it out early this morning on another platform, the issue of regulation in the telecommunication sector. We also have regulatory body in the oil and gas sector. Even in academics, the Nigerian university system is being regulated by the Nigerian University Commission. So I think that the maritime industry, as important as it is, and for a nation that wants hard agriculture, as its mainstream, has moved to crude oil and now to the maritime sector. We should also have a regulator in that sector. And what the bill seeks to do, Mr. Speaker's bill seeks to achieve, is just to give legal backing to the existence of the Nigerian Shippers Council, you know, to be able to carry out the activities which we have seen that they are carrying out, but without the legislative instrument. And as a country governed by laws, we believe in that bill. And thank God, you know, for the participation of Nigerians who came during the public hearing. They've spoken into it. They've expressed their opinions. We are looking forward to amendments, you know, to the document that we have now. And I believe that at the end of the day, when we are done with the technical sessions on the bill, Nigerians again will be happy the way they were when the student loan was signed, the way they felt when the budget was passed, and the way many Nigerians are feeling when the national anthem bill was also signed by Mr. President.
Well, it seems there's a large disconnect, you know, between the lawmakers and how Nigerians actually feel. But on that note, we have to end this interview. Honorable Philip Agbese, Deputy Spokesman, House of Reps, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.